officers and agents of the Department of Homeland Security work around the clock protecting America's borders.
Hard right.
They're at ground zero in the war against narco-trafficking, illegal immigration, and terrorism. In the next 12 hours, officers and agents in Nogales, Arizona will risk it all to pursue and arrest hundreds of illegal immigrants.
President will actually die to get a hold of him just in time.
Confront cartel foot soldiers in the dead of night. And stop would-be imposters from entering the country.
There's a very close match in the face, but the fingerprint doesn't lie.
These are the border wars.
Welcome to Nogales.
Nogales, Arizona. Here, U.S. Customs and Border Protection defends one of America's most active stretches of the border.
We're trying to round everybody up.
It's a marijuana, you can see it's green.
With speed.
You're just north of me on the other side of the hill.
Endurance.
The group's running. This is good stuff. It's what we like to do.
And non-stop vigilance.
You have to look for the narcotics, the baby that doesn't belong to the person. The list goes on and on.
Their work protecting the U.S.-Mexico border continues around the clock. It's 4 p.m. at Air and Marine Operations.
What else do we need? Uniform items, guns, lights. I got credit cards for gas, I think.
Pilot in command John Mannheimer prepares to hit the skies. With help from Aviation Enforcement Officer Oscar Peru and his crew.
Primary would be me and you, and then secondary would be Paul and Dave.
Gate starters out at 54.
They take off to patrol the Sonoran Desert for illegal border crossers and drug smugglers. As soon as they're airborne, a radio call comes in from one of the most high-tech tools in the team's arsenal.
Okay, that was Omaha 10, the Predator.
An unmanned craft flying nearly 4 miles above the desert. It's called the Predator, call sign Omaha 10. Quieter than the Blackhawk and virtually invisible from the ground, the Predator can stay aloft for over 20 hours at a time and is equipped with a powerful camera. The craft is remotely piloted from a ground-based hub 50 miles away. There's a 2-man crew. One flies the bird, while the other runs the camera. A camera so remarkable, it's as if it can see into the past.
We can actually see with the infrared camera here the residual heat signature of the aircraft sitting on the ground. Cooling of the asphalt on the ground is still different than the rest of the ambient wrap temperature. To show you.
Rich Roubier describes a typical bust as seen by the unmanned aerial vehicle in the dead of night.
And as we get closer, you see these big packs these guys are wearing on their backs. Those are packs of marijuana. We can tell that based on the way they're walking and how large the packs are. You can see the Blackhawk coming in here right now. And there was 23 guys here. We ended up apprehending 15 out of them. That's pretty good when you're talking about doing apprehensions in the open desert like this.
This night footage shows a drug trafficker at the back of the line, visibly brushing away the group's footprints with a branch. At 4:30, the camera picks up a large group of border crossers.
423 is going to be 3120.
The Predator's pilots alert Officer Peru and the Blackhawk crew.
Okay, our unmanned aircraft spotted 18 illegal aliens on top of the Baba Fury Mountains, and that's where we're going right now. It's a pretty rough area. Druggist mountain ranges in the Tucson sector. Now that's where they got them on camera, so we're going to find out if we can even get a landing zone to get us in there. Sure, to be drug smugglers.
The pilots also calling Border Patrol agents on foot.
What's the ETA of the agent on the ground? I'm still on the trail. You're just supposed to be on the other side of the hill.
Now the Black Hawk team and the ground agents work together to zero in on the suspects.
The right at the top of the crack there. I see him. Yeah, there's something I below it right there. Yeah. Right on your left side up the top of that. Okay, we got the short side.
Bringing anything with you? Illegal border crossers don't just trek through mountains and across the desert. Each year, millions of people walk right up to America's front door.
How'd you get down here from California?
It's CBP officers' jobs to figure out who's entering legally and who's trying to slip through. Chief CBP Officer Bonnie Ariano has seen every kind of identity scam imaginable.
This is one of the weirdest stories that's ever come through Nogales. And we had a gentleman that came through. I found that he paid a doctor big dollars to get his toe pads cut off and sewn on his fingertips to change his identity. He was that far up in a money laundering scheme that they needed to change his identity. Just really bizarre.
Such extreme cases are rare, but impersonation and identity theft are not.
This is what you call a package deal. They spend probably $3,500 for this. On any given time, they vary. If it's Christmas, sometimes it's more because they need the Christmas bonus. Sometimes it's less if they've sold more documents. But in this case, this person got in her package, she got the permanent residency card with her picture. She got the Social Security card, which is not valid. She got the California driver's license or identification card. And actually, this is valid. In looking at it, it has the features. So this is a valid California document. And she has the valid environmental health card. So she got a job with her little packet that she purchased across the line for $3,500. Or she might have purchased in the United States. They have document makers, and they give them a packet, they sell it, and this is how you go out and you make a living.
Officers are trained to identify imposters. At 5 p.m., agents notice a nervous-looking woman.
When she was coming across, she was very confident and secure that she was going to be able to cross. When she approached the officer, once he started really looking at her face, she started getting nervous.
Yeah, she's an imposter. Border crosser covered over here in Nogales. Today this is the fourth one we've had, just here.
The suspect presented a U.S. Department of State-issued border crossing card. It allows multiple entries for a 10-year period. This legal document is sometimes bought and sold illegally just over the border in Mexico.
She definitely could have bought it a half an hour ago to an hour ago, went home and said, okay, this is what I look like.
Some physical attributes are relatively easy to modify.
You can see how her eyebrows are, where she had actually shaved her eyebrows down to match the picture. She has the same lipstick on it. She has a lining around her lips like the picture. When they wear the same type of clothing, when they wear the same type of makeup, that's how I thought they looked.
Other traits are virtually impossible to alter.
The moment that the officer checked her fingerprint, at that moment she knew that she wasn't going to be able to cross.
Es muy buen oficial.
He's a very good officer.
You can tell to see the loops here. It'll go down on the one side and loops back up and come back down again. If you notice on her fingers, not one of them matches that print. You can tell here, it's not even close.
Thousands of people are caught presenting false documents every year. But even when caught, they don't always admit to buying the credentials on the black market.
She claims that she found it and that she was told that she resembled this person, that if she made a couple of changes, modifications, that she would be able to pass as this person that was on the ID. She was hoping to work here in the U.S. to get money to support her children in Mexico.
Yo trataba de venir y no pude pasar y pues ahora pensar cómo voy a estar allá con mis hijos.
Well, it's hard. You know, it's hard to take that away from these people. I know that's hard to live in Mexico, and you know, most of the people that cross are very respectful. It's not, you know, it's not like you're fighting the, you know, the scum of the earth. Well, basically, we're gonna fill out the paperwork. Once that paperwork is finished, she'll be transported over to the expedited removal area, and once she's over there, then she'll be sent back to Mexico.
Miles west of Nogales is the Bear Valley Forward Operating Base, or FOB. This Border Patrol camp is seeing more action now that the newly extended fence in Nogales is pushing cartel smugglers away from town and into the mountains. It's one of the most active areas in the Southwest for drug traffickers and illegal immigrants. But it's so rugged and remote that instead of agents driving 3 hours round trip on winding back roads to work out here, they live out here.
This is it. 6 bunk beds, 2 wall lockers here, 2 wall lockers there, 2 wall lockers here. First come, first serve, you get the bottom ones.
Groups of 5 agents do 7-day rotations and conduct operations 24 hours a day.
Refrigerator with everybody's food in it. I mean, some people bring cereal, some people bring chorizo and eggs and bacon and sausage, and it just depends on the individual.
The accommodations are less than luxurious.
It's nice, you know, the government spent its money on us. These retrofitted ISO containers could be a lot worse. 4 porta potties for us. Jimenez was here, he opened up the porta potty, lifted up the lid, there's a snake in there. There was a snake in our porta potty.
They call it a camp detail, but it's not.
Supervisory Border Patrol Agent Jay Johnson is in the middle of his week-long stay.
Full-size fridge, it's got the water maker and all that stuff.
It's been a busy week. A nearby trail has seen a lot of drug trafficking activity.
There's been a really active trail we've been here this whole week. Got a group of 3 off of it the other night. The night before is when we got a big narcotics load, almost 700 pounds. Plan is to get in there with the recon set up high where we can lay in on the trail and see what comes our way. There's the sensor guys. What's up, guys?
Agents out here rely on support, and today they get a visit from the sensor team.
How many bundles was it?
6. We're not getting that many bodies. Bipolo is kind of burnt.
Agents at the Border Patrol Station are responsible for tracking a system of seismic sensors buried across the desert.
The system known as the virtual fence, it actually starts with what they call UGSs, unattended ground sensors. That's the key to the system. Plain old box buried in the ground. That's what really wakes up all the other high-tech devices on that whole system.
Field Technology Officer John Grijalva has been fighting the border wars from his workbench for over 20 years.
When you look at the map of sensors in the ground, it looks totally random, like it doesn't make any sense at all. But once you overlay the trails on the sensors, then you'll see that everything is laid out precisely and everything is timed out, okay, from sensor to sensor.
Today, the team is going to redeploy sensors to a more active trail.
I think we can address the same traffic, but a little bit better spot.
It's not just the FOB that relies on sensors to catch illegal crossers. They're planted across the entire Tucson sector.
See your phone runs right through here. All right, let me just get started.
This vast system is made up of individual sensors that transmit information to the Border Patrol Station when they're activated.
Yeah, it's in good shape.
The network of trails out here is so tremendous that we can space these sensors out a certain distance, and we can get a string of sensors to hit, and it'll indicate to the patrol agents that there's traffic out in the canyon.
All right, just going to go ahead and smooth this out a little bit. This trail is not a very active trail right now, so what we plan to do is redeploy it on a much more active trail. And our goal right now is to try to make it look like just what it looked like before we pulled the sensor.
These devices are just one of the tools in Border Patrol's arsenal, and their exact locations are closely guarded secrets.
What is going on here today is unprecedented because we're actually exposing what we're trying to keep secret. So without getting into too many of the tricks of our trade, I believe that it's important that the American public at least get this much insight.
The information is transmitted to the station back in Nogales, which alerts agents in the field that a sensor has been tripped. With these sensors active, it now becomes a waiting game for Johnson and his crew. In a few hours, these trails could come alive with drug smugglers making their way north. The agents must be ready for anything.
We're going to wait for nightfall basically because something like 700 pounds of marijuana, they're not going to want to just give that to us.
Agent John Mannheimer must land his Blackhawk in the Baba Kivari Mountains and get his crew on the ground before the suspected illegal immigrants get away.
You think you guys can get out on one wheel here? Yeah, let's give it a shot. Watch the right, the beam blade on that yucca there.
Jagged cliffs and a deep gorge call for Mannheimer to attempt a dangerous maneuver.
One wheel that rock? Yeah, that's where I was going to put it down.
It's an intricate task that he won't be able to pull off alone.
Is my tail clear? Your tail is clear on the right side. You're clear left. You looking good on your main? You got 3 feet. You look good. You're at 2 feet now. Good left. You're at a foot now. Hold what you got. Hold what you got. Right side. Right side.
Mannheimer manages to rest one wheel on a rock ledge.
Once we all got out and gave the pilot the thumbs up, lifted off, and he was circling overhead and providing overhead watch while we went and did our thing.
All right, we landed. They scattered everywhere, so the rush, we're trying to round everybody up.
There's a bunch of them down the draw you further west.
Okay, am I right over here? I'll tell you what, the helicopter is a valuable asset.
He's flying around, he's spotting stuff, and he's putting us on it.
Okay, we got visual spotted.
The suspects try to run and hide from the ground agents. But Mannheimer's got an aerial view, and he marks their location by hovering.
And he's saying, hey, they're right under here, so we're not wasting time. We're just beelining straight to where he's at, and then making the apprehension.
They're all holed up right down here, below, underneath us here.
Coordinated effort pays off. The suspected illegal immigrants are handcuffed together to reduce the risk of escape.
Anything else pending out there? Okay, we can go back this way.
Border Patrol ground agents have transport vehicles on the way. So Peru and his team rejoin Mannheimer in the Blackhawk and continue their shift. Another call immediately comes in.
Border Patrol agent is requesting our assistance somewhere to the north here.
And their next mission is about to begin. Every person entering the U.S. must show acceptable border crossing documents. But for officers, enforcement is not as easy as it sounds, because they are presented with thousands of different kinds of documents.
We have roughly 8,800 different types of documents that we have to look at any given day, any given moment.
Mexican nationals can present a passport with a non-immigrant visa or border crossing card issued by the U.S. Department of State. Most of these are authentic. Others are clearly fake.
And then, of course, there's my favorite one. If you want to look at this is the best Social Security card ever. You see anything wrong with it? Because I really know that our Social Security card has the flag of Mexico on it, right?
Then there are the legitimate IDs that have simply been doctored with substitute photos.
You have the passports. This is a photo sub. Any Joe Schmo on the street may not know that. So this guy could go out, he could use this, and he could get a job. But when he came through us, we looked at it and said, yeah, no, it's not working for me today. And he was not the person that he said he was. This is the same person's name or same person's information, just a different face on every given time. What is her name? Efigenia. She's pretty popular.
As forgers become more sophisticated, figuring out who's legitimate and who's not often comes down to officer instinct. At 5:45 p.m., Officer Alexander Warfield sees a woman he immediately deems suspicious.
Okay, well, it's been pretty slow today, so anything that's out of the ordinary is going to stand out that much more. So when she walked up, first thing I noticed, she didn't look like she was from around here. Kind of the manner of dress, it was cold and raining earlier, so here comes this woman in freezing cold weather wearing a skirt and a little top. She walks up to me, she hands me a document that we never use anymore, and she's handing it to me, and her hand's like shaking. There wasn't much to say. I was like, okay, come in the back. And then I handed it over to the other officer, and he did the paperwork. Okay, is it over? Yeah, you see that a lot with the imposters. They kind of project, this is not me doing something wrong. And from what I heard from the other officer, that she actually paid $600 for it, which is quite pricey for a document, especially one that's so far out of date.
Authorities change and update these documents as a security measure, taking older ones out of circulation.
Oh, they don't use those anymore. You can take it to the back. They'll give her a pat down. When they're from farther down south of Mexico, they don't know what documents are good or what's valid, so they'll sell her any document and whatever price they want. She got ripped off. Right now, she's going to get a pat down, make sure she has got no identification and no weapons on her. Sometimes they'll hide their IDs or birth certificates on their person.
Though she's a victim, she also may have broken the law.
Dime tu nombre completo y correcto. ¿Tú tienes algún documento legal de que te da permiso de vivir en Estados Unidos? No. She was born in Mexico. She's been living in the U.S. for 16 years. She returned to Mexico to visit her father. Her father was sick or had some type of surgery, and she's been trying to come back ever since. She's had one apprehension in Calexico. Looks like most of it is Border Patrol, which is mostly desert. However, she has been apprehended by Customs as well. One time, she was in the trunk of a vehicle. She has been banned from the country for 5 years already, from what I can see. So now she'll be banned for 20 years today. Back into Mexico. That's for now.
Agent Jay Johnson leaves the forward operating base after being alerted to a tripped sensor near a known smuggling route.
Everything's going to feed into this major canyon off to our north. It's really steep, really hard to get out of. So we get them at a choke point in that canyon, and that's been where we've been having a lot of success lately. We're heading to the town of Ruby area. It's called the beach. Oh, we got a quitter. Sorry guys, we're gonna have to deal with him real quick. ¿Cómo estás?
A quitter is a suspected illegal immigrant who gives up when the going gets rough.
¿Tienes documentos? Nada.
Esperando la patrulla para matar. Ya no sabía por dónde agarrar.
¿Qué tan lejos separado? Por acá entramos. Ok. Arriba.
One agent must escort him to transport for pickup, which means Johnson is a man down, increasing the risk, especially if the suspected smugglers are armed.
Arranging for transport and all that is kind of a major deal. You'll end up losing a single agent at least. It'll be probably over an hour before we see Sean come back. So, I wish we had a little more coverage, but it's just kind of the way it goes. A lot of time I've jumped groups of 60 by myself, so. There is the entrance to town of Ruby right there, and we're gonna. There's a Forest Service road just a little farther down on the right. We're going to pull in there, and we're going to walk it up to that area.
With his one remaining partner, Agent Jose Salas, they walk through Ruby, an abandoned silver mining town.
Well, maybe the two of us for a little longer than we normally would. Just the way it goes. Shouldn't need any help unless something goes bad.
The safest way to scout these hills is to work in pairs, but the agents decide to take a calculated risk. They'll split up, with Johnson moving to a southern position to cut off any possible retreat to Mexico.
Just gonna follow this fence line, get up in here. They go past us. Go past us, he's gonna drop down on him.
He sees the crew, he's gonna let him pass. And when I jump the crew, they're gonna try to run back. And he's gonna come from the back and try to pinch him in. Nighttime operations require patience and heightened senses.
For me, it's all audible. The first couple times you get a group walk up on you, you realize just how loud they are and how much noise they make. So when I'm sitting here listening, it's all listening, it's all concentration.
Johnson and Salas prepare to lay in all night, waiting for the group to emerge. But less than an hour into the stakeout, Salas picks up movement in his night vision goggles. Radio reception out here is inconsistent at best.
Jay, did you copy? I got a group.
And Salas has a problem. He can't get a response from his partner.
So at least 10. This dope is gonna be 46, gonna be narcotics. It's 46, it's 46. I'm gonna tell them they're gonna drop in and run.
Salas knows he's up against drug carriers, and they're almost certainly armed.
Let's go up there! Go up there! Go up there!
Agent Salas pursues the smugglers. But they've managed to slip away in the darkness. Agent Jay Johnson, meanwhile, makes a discovery.
Hey, Salas, I got the dope, but if nothing else, I found the 46.
The men are now in radio range.
My partner just got the narcotics on low.
Yeah, 10-4, I got the 46, or so far. I'm up to like 6 bundles. I don't know how many you saw there.
There were about 10. And I guess the The mules are laid up somewhere in this wash right here.
The smugglers could be waiting for the right moment to attack. Some will go to any lengths to protect their loads.
Okay, we're looking for the mules. The main concern is if there's narcotics, there'd probably be a weapon somewhere. And we're trying to prevent an injury to one of the agents.
Partners join up for the first time since the bust and breathe a sigh of relief.
I was trying to call you, but you never answered.
No, it was dead. I had silence. I heard the group come up, and then they banged right on the fence line.
Therefore, I saw at least 10. I don't know how many bundles you got.
There's like 6.
Johnson has the bundles, but not all of them. The mules left behind a clue about how many are missing.
Got numbers on them there. See, we got 8, 7. That's number 6. Let's see what we got here. Number 10. So that kind of gives us a good indication what we're looking at. How many we're missing. That's either 6 or 9. So, what are we missing? 1 through 5, huh? Hey, fellas, these are numbered. I got 6 through 10. So, 1 through 5 or somewhere.
They probably drove down one of these cuts over here.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. You wanna go look?
I'm gonna clear this cut to the right.
Backup agents arrive to help. They brought a canine to sweep the area for the missing drugs and suspects.
Oh, that's a good boy!
But the smugglers appear to have gotten away with 5 bundles of marijuana. Johnson, Salas, and the team carry out the remaining sacks.
Street value for our purposes is calculated at $800 a pound. Each one of those is probably about 60 pounds. Close to 50,000 per there, street value.
With a total street value of nearly $250,000, it's been a productive night for the agents.
One step at a time.
With one mission under their belts, the Black Hawk crew is on its way to a call for assistance from Border Patrol agents on the ground.
Dispatch relayed that Tucson Border Patrol agent has requested our assistance somewhere in the north here. We're just north of the Big 5-2. We're going to get out on foot. I was wondering if you could get out of the middle of the group.
Ground agents are tracking a group of suspected illegal immigrants, but they're scattering, and Border Patrol is struggling to track them down. Help is needed from above.
Okay, copy. 3 minutes out. Copy. Light, Oscar.
Agent Oscar Peru breaks out the spotlight.
You got part of the computer. You're the one that breaking up. Okay, just put us on your runners. There's a main trail out in the open, and then they'll probably be in the wash just to the west of the main trail. Everybody's running, everybody's running. Yeah, everybody's running now. We have your bodies in the night, son. Yeah, it's a pretty good sized group. They're all spread out here. We're trying to hurry up as many as we can. I think you got one right there to the left, Oscar. Yeah. I got 4 bodies right here. Hey, friend, I got one right here. There was a whole bunch that ran off to the northeast, correct? Northeast. Yeah, 4 out. Yeah, 10 4. Okay, they make contact with those 4. Let's get this guy right here. Okay. There's an agent running right there in the light. Tell him go to the right. Tell him go to the right. All right. Okay, we got to run on the right. There you go. Nice.
Ground agents capture several of the runners, but it's up to Peru and his team to track down the rest.
What do you guys ready to bail out pretty quick?
Navigating this rough terrain is treacherous, especially in the darkness.
Nice and wet, hey? Hey, ven para acá tú. Hey, levántate tú. Tú también. Ándale, ponte allá. Ponte allá. Siéntate.
Peru and his team capture some members of the group.
Okay, I got a count of 9 here. They started to run though, but John was able to kind of hurt them, slow them down for us, or else that would have been a long run. John, while you're scanning, I'm going to help Brandon cuff these guys up here.
The Blackhawk continues scanning.
Got a runner right above the lane. Okay, bring the light to the right. Right. Left, right there.
And directs the agent to a runner who's managed to escape.
We'll be back, okay.
Pilot in command John Mannheimer positions the Blackhawk so that he catches the absconder in his beam. Warstar agent Clint McCardle gets up high, and then he makes his move. Agent McCardle apprehends the fleeing illegal immigrant. Now other agents arrive to assist.
Once I got to the top of that hill, this guy right here, I beat him to the top. He was still working his way up. So actually, Omaha was able to kind of get real close to him and get all that road wash, kind of get him disoriented. When I was on the top of the hill, I was able to actually gain some speed and come down. I was able to dive and get a hold of him just in time. I think we ended up rolling about 50 yards or so down the hill and knocked each other.
But McCardle now has a problem. The man may be seriously injured and unable to stand.
Breathe the desert.
He's fine. It's just his muscles, man. He's just banged up. He's gonna have some bruises and stuff in the back of his calf.
¿Oyó eso, señor? No está, ahí está lastimado un poco, pero no tiene nada foto, ¿verdad?
Yeah, the guy's fine. He's not complaining of any bones, any joints, or anything hurting. It's just his muscles been banged up, falling on the rocks. So he'll be fine. He'll just have a few bruises. So just like we all will. I probably felt as much as he did. So.
On the other side of the canyon, Peru tries to figure out which of the detainees is the guide.
¿Quién aquí es el guía en el grupo? ¿Quién sabe el camino?
Sometimes the coyote takes off at the first hint of trouble because they are subject to criminal prosecution.
Se fue todo. Se fue. Se fue. He said he ran off as soon as the helicopter came.
Human smuggling is big business for the cartels. In 2008, they grossed an estimated $2 billion in Arizona.
We haven't got a chance to search them or anything, so just cut them up and pretty much it.
While Peru completes the handoff, Mannheimer receives an urgent call. Other agents need immediate assistance.
Are you guys ready?
He calls his crew back to the Blackhawk so they can head to their next mission as quickly as possible.
We got another group. We're running out of gas.
20 miles away in downtown Nogales, the vehicle lanes at the port of entry are clogged with traffic. It may be midnight, But in Nogales, it always feels like rush hour. In 2008, 75,000 pounds of illegal drugs were caught coming through Arizona's ports of entry. And organized criminals often use desperate people to drive their drugs across the border. Chief CBP Officer Bonnie Ariano has seen every trick used by the smugglers. And in a small town like this, they've seen her too.
I mean, 6 years, and I can tell you they know me pretty well. I actually had a smuggler come up right to the line of Mexico. He actually tapped his watch because he knew it was my turn to go and he wanted to try and send some people through. That's how brazen they are.
Smugglers watch and learn. They're in constant competition with officers to gain the upper hand any way they can.
They know what we're looking for, and they know that nerves play a big part on that. And they also know that our systems are really good. So they have to figure out how to get around us any way they can.
At 1 a.m., Chief Ariano stops the driver of a minivan who's acting suspicious. She escorts him to a holding cell so officers can conduct a search of his vehicle.
When he came by me, he was very rigid, and I just didn't like what I saw.
You know what? I didn't see the driver. The chief said that the driver looked kind of different. And we do that a lot. We target on behavioral. Yeah. And you'll see people come by and they've got this frozen look, you know.
Officer Hugo Nunez uses a number of tools when inspecting a suspicious vehicle. One of those tools is Anna. Tonight, she alerts him to something that may be narcotics.
She responded back here, she alerted, and then she came down here and scratched in this area. Everything looks pretty normal, but I need to get this carpet up so that I can look and see if there's a trap door or anything.
So if you look at the rail's been off down there and it's got new paint.
So far, the officers are striking out. Their instincts tell them this man is hiding something, but the car is coming up clean.
Here with the mirror?
I like crawling up on this thing. See, what I'm looking for now is like a trap door underneath here.
There's a lot going on here. We're looking into it. Maybe he's a mule and he uses his vehicle around the desert. If you look, there's a lot of scratches. We got broken glass back here.
While Nunez does the dirty work, the chief sees all kinds of red flags in the suspect's paperwork.
He's got like 6 or 7 tickets in here. This is what he's showing me for his current registration.
No, that's not...
Thank you.
This much is certain. He's an American citizen living near Nogales, but that does not get him off the hook. Mexican cartels are believed to have networks in hundreds of U.S. cities.
That would explain the nervous demeanor.
And Chief Ariano's just uncovered what appears to be a warrant. That could mean the driver's a wanted man.
Instead of a loan, we might have a warrant.
In the high traffic hours of nighttime and early morning, FOB agents come out in force to patrol the area's most active trails.
It's still a little long.
This team heads 7 miles from base to Bartolo Canyon, where they've made several busts in recent days. It's a 2-mile hike in and nearly a 1,000-foot ascent.
Scan the trail up when it's happening.
Supervisory Border Patrol Agent Gerardo Durazo leads the way through the rocky terrain. At 2:15 a.m., they're alerted to a sensor hit.
Sensor activation, American crew. Truck is down already. We're up right ahead of us. You can see all the foot sign. The crew that hit their sensor.
A well-known landmark signals the agents are getting close to the canyon.
See the rock coming up from the mountain. The illegals going through have marked it Jesus Christo, meaning Jesus Christ. That's as their path to their destination or
So we use that as a landmark. Supervisor Durazo and fellow agents Rafael Lopez and Claudio Jimenez stop to make a plan. Plan set to unleash a three-pronged attack, the team lays in to wait and tries not to make a sound. Gunfire has turned a straightforward bust into a dangerous operation.
They might know where we're at. We don't know where they're at. But at the same time, they know we're armed. So, but it definitely takes it to another level now.
The gunfire is a mystery. It could be a warning to agents to stay away, or suggest trouble within the group of smugglers. Suddenly, Agent Gerardo Durazo hears people coming down the trail, and knowing they could start firing at any moment, launches a surprise attack. The agents swarm the group from all directions.
Ya, vamos a abrir una causa.
They were surprised and startled. Some of them began to run away and were basically confused.
Do you guys want to go check? All right.
As the agents detain the suspects, they become aware of an unexpected threat behind them.
There's a fire right behind us. Turn around, look. It's getting to me. Yeah, dude. How far away is this thing? I don't know. It's probably on that ridge right behind us. Probably man-made. Got out of control.
Agents will call in the fire to have it contained, but for now they need to get to safety. If they remain here much longer, they could endanger everyone.
If we stay and then things spreads out, never know. Might be barbecue. We'll probably have to start evacuating the area.
Suspects will be transported to the Border Patrol station, where agents will run a criminal background check on each individual.
Depot 15x7 in Bartolo, would you mind sending transport to FOB, please? Yes, Paul. Done. Let's get out of here.
Morning hours at the port of entry in Nogales, the search continues of a minivan driven by a suspicious acting male.
There's a lot going on here. We're looking into it. Maybe he's a mule and he uses his vehicle around the desert. If you look, there's a lot of scratches.
A series of clues leads Chief Bonnie Ariano and Officer Nunez to believe the driver's involved in something illegal, possibly drug smuggling. The challenge now is to find the proof.
All right, let me have somebody look at that.
The van contains incriminating paperwork, including what appears to be a warrant.
Bonnie found a feeling of beer.
Do I need to secure him or?
Nah, just keep him like that for right now. I'm gonna keep looking at the vehicle.
All right, but I mean, you haven't found any code one or okay, 10-4. Let me see. First name Joaquin.
The officer on duty orders a warrant search in order to find out if the suspect is wanted.
Negative 29? Okay, thank you.
But he comes up empty.
She was hitting right here, and I was looking for like maybe some crumbs or something.
Oh.
I haven't seen anything.
Everything is negative.
It's a frustrating turn of events. What appears to be a trail of evidence has led officers to a dead end. But while he may be innocent, there could be more to the situation than meets the eye. The Mexican cartels use a scheme where paid drivers go through the port of entry, not knowing if their car is loaded or not. This tests both the driver and the officers.
They do what's called burning plates, and they bring that across a couple times. It also warms up the driver so he doesn't know or she doesn't know when she's got a load. And they might be nervous that time. They may end up in second gear, but there's nothing there. We know these things. We understand that, and we're working on it.
26-year veteran supervisor Mark Shanley's called in for another opinion.
I don't see anything altered on it. All the dust looks good. Any odors? No. I don't smell any silicone, Bondo paint, nothing. Doesn't look like anything's altered. Could be my dog generalizing another odor into an odor she's supposed to respond to. You know, I'm good with the vehicle.
Okay. All right. Win some, lose some. Maybe get them next time.
This line doesn't stop. That's the bottom line. And it's pressure all the time. And every minute is different. We have to always be on our A game. And you can't